Okay, let's jump into this. We're doing a deep dive on a really thought-provoking piece of writing today.
Hmm.
It puts forward a pretty strong argument, basically saying that you, the listener, are being deliberately programmed, that's the word it uses, programmed by the system.
And it's quite a stark central claim it's making. The source insists this isn't just, how modern life turned out. It's saying it's designed this way.
Right. Designed.
Yeah, engineered, according to the source, with a very specific goal, making people fat, broke, and distracted.
Wow, that's quite a statement. And the piece dives right into why it thinks that's the goal. It argues that being in that kind of state, physically not great, worried about money, mind all over the place.
It makes you easier to control. That's the core argument.
Easier to control.
Exactly. Someone who's fat, broke, and distracted, as the source puts it, is just way less likely to challenge things, to be a threat to the system.
Because all your energy is just managing.
Pretty much. Your energy, your money, your focus, it's all tied up just dealing with your immediate situation. Less bandwidth to question or push back.
Okay, so the how. How does the source claim this programming actually works?
Well, it points squarely at the constant flood of messages we all get. Think about advertising, right? All around us.
Yeah, unavoidable.
And what's it pushing? Mostly convenience foods, lots of sugar, unhealthy fats, things that don't demand much physical effort, and, of course, endless ways to spend money, often on stuff you don't really need.
So the source sees this as, like, a deliberate push.
It frames it very deliberately. It calls it junk for your body, junk for your mind, and junk for your wallet.
Yeah.
The argument is these messages actively nudge you towards unhealthy habits and, well, spending.
And it's not just the ads, right? The source also talks about distraction.
Oh, yeah, big time. It highlights the endless entertainment, streaming, social media, games, the 24/7 news cycle.
Things we all engage with.
Right. But the source suggests these aren't just ways to relax, they're potentially tools. Tools to keep people kind of sedated, maybe, disengaged from bigger questions or, working on themselves.
Sedated. That's a strong word.
It is. The perspective here is that while you're absorbed in all this immediate stuff gratification, consumption, the forces behind the system are, well, doing their thing. Consolidating power, wealth, maybe unchallenged.
So the picture it paints is a society not really set up to help the individual flourish, but more to pacify them.
Pacify them.
Okay.
Exactly. That's the framing. Keep people content enough, distracted enough, not to cause any trouble.
The source uses that analogy, doesn't it, about the casino?
Yeah, like a casino rigged against you. This is just passively staying plugged in means you're playing a game you're basically set up to lose. You stay average, soft, manageable.
Okay, so that naturally leads to the source presenting a choice.
A really fundamental choice. Stay plugged in, live by the alleged programming, or choose to wake up.
And waking up here isn't about, like, protests or politics necessarily?
Not directly, no. In this context, waking up is all about action. Self-directed effort. Changing yourself.
Right. The source is super direct about what that means. It's about consistent daily action. 3 areas.
Yep. Train your body like your life depends on it. Focus on earning, building financially like you hate being broke. And commit to learning, expanding your mind like you're behind.
The underlying idea is just relentless self-improvement. Every day, get that 1% better.
Exactly. It's about taking control of what you can control yourself.
And a payoff. The source makes a pretty big promise if you take this path.
A very absolute promise. It claims that by building yourself up, physically strong, financially stable, mentally focused, you fundamentally alter your relationship with this system.
You become immune.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
The assertion is achieve that self-mastery, gain that strength, independence, focus,
Yeah.
and they can't control you anymore. You're no longer susceptible to the programming it described earlier.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive into this source's viewpoint, it argues society is kind of set up to keep you passive, using ads, pushing unhealthy stuff, constant distractions.
And it presents this really stark choice. Stay passive or wake up by taking intense personal action, improving your body, your finances, your focus every single day.
And the ultimate takeaway from the source is that this personal transformation, building yourself up, is the key. It's what makes you uncontrollable by these forces it talks about.
Right. It really circles back to that core idea.
Leaving you with that final, pretty challenging question from the piece. Is building yourself the